This video is going to be a complete waste of your time. I'm going to talk about this game, I'm going to give a prediction at the end of it, but you know, because of my undoubted bias, but also driven and blinded by every fan's ritualistic need to always back their team, you know at the end of the day, I'm going to be backing Oxford to win. Hang on a minute, maybe I shouldn't start the video like that. Hello everybody, it's time for the League One playoff final. Stick around to the end of the video to see my prediction. You might be quite shocked. So my beloved Oxford United and Bolton Wanderers will be duking it out this Saturday for a place in the Sky Bet Championship. I'm going to give my 2p's worth on this game and then I'm going to give a prediction at the end of it. Please hit the like button because that helps me out a lot, and if you do like the content, consider subscribing. Let's not delay any further. Let's talk about this game. It's Oxford United versus Bolton Wanderers. Ian Everett's Bolton Wanderers beat Barnsley in the semi-finals 5-4 on aggregate, but it was a very strange tie for the Trotters in the end because they got themselves into a very controlling 5-2 lead and then almost seemed to conspire to throw it away. But let's not forget, two-legged semi-finals are normally very strange, and there's something that managers, players and fans don't experience very often. So it is just a matter of getting through these ties by hook or by crook. It's very much indeed more of a mental test, or as much as a mental test as it is a test of skill, and quite often not really a fair reflection of how you are as a team. Make no mistake, Bolton Wanderers were and are one of the best sides in League One. They finished third in the table and they were right in the mix for automatic promotion right up until pretty much the final day. They're the bookies' favourites going into this one, and probably most casual fans have them as favourites as well. And even as an Oxford fan, I'm willing to accept Bolton are the better side.
Oh, he's a madman! A madman!
Des Buckingham's Oxford United beat Peterborough 2-1 on aggregate in their semi-final. But the second leg of that tie, my goodness, was one where Oxford were completely dominated by Peterborough for virtually the entire game. The only thing Oxford could do to get through this tie was to roll their sleeves up and fight tooth and nail to get through. Some heroic defending, some fantastic saves, and a sprinkling of good fortune made it a very special night in Cambridgeshire for the Yellows. All things seem to be moving in the right direction for Oxford United, both on and off the field, and this might seem a little bit wishy-washy and namby-pamby, but there is a real genuine connection between the club and the fans at the moment, which I don't think's really happened, maybe not since we beat York in the playoff final in 2010. And if anything else, that gives me another excuse to show Chrissy Wilder sliding down the touchline. There he goes, get in there, Chrissy. But make no mistake, Oxford United players and fans believe we can win this game. However, we can't escape the very large elephant in the room, and that is the last time these two sides met, which ended up with Bolton Wanderers wiping the floor with Oxford United 5-0. You can see my video on that humiliation in the top corner, and I must admit it does feel like a lifetime ago when in reality it was only a couple of months. Wait, hang on. If Oxford lose this final 4-0 or 5-1, does that mean that we've made progress? In that game, Oxford showed about as much resistance as a soaking wet piece of paper. Bolton swarmed all over the U's, and once again it was humiliating. But the biggest difference between Oxford then and Oxford now is in the way they defend. We're defending so much better as a team, and we're making sides work so much harder to create chances and break us down. This was in full evidence in that second leg against Peterborough. As for all Posh's possession, they weren't exactly peppering the goal, and they certainly struggled to break Oxford down and get in behind them. Where Oxford were poor in the second leg was in possession. They were very sloppy in possession in that second leg against Peterborough, and if Bolton can harry and press this Oxford side, you could see a very similar situation situation where Bolton just control the game for large periods in Oxford's half. They'll then back themselves to create chances and score goals, with the likes of Collins and Charles forming a very good partnership up front. You already saw in that semi-final, Charles is a real poacher up top and been that for a number of years, whereas Collins, not only can he create chances, but he can score goals from anywhere. With two strikers up top, that also gives Oxford centre-backs Elliot Moore and Kieran Brown additional headaches, and Bolt will hope that they can create overloads down the flanks, like with Dacris Cogley and with Mag Homer. If you look back to that first goal they scored against Barnsley, they worked that ball superbly down their right-hand side. But let's not forget, at the back, Bolton look formidable as well. They did struggle at times with the physical presence of Sam Cosgrove for Barnsley, but that is just something Oxford do not possess, unless Will Goodwin plays, which is very unlikely. This means that Toll, Santos and Jones should easily be able to deal with any aerial threat that comes from Mark Harris, which means they will back themselves to easily win balls that are hit up to them in the air, and therefore they can just recycle possession and keep the pressure on. Speaking of Bolton centre-backs, they do look dangerous from set pieces, and it means Bolton look a dangerous side from set pieces. If the centre-backs aren't going to head it in, they'll just whip it in direct from the corner, and that is certainly another area where they have the edge over Oxford United, who themselves, although they scored a goal against Peterborough from a set piece, generally I have to say it's an area where we are pretty wasteful. Going back to Bolton's semi-finals against Barnsley, I don't think they were that great in possession either, and I thought quite often they were quite sloppy and quite wasteful, and this is an area Oxford will look to exploit. Brannigan, Rodriguez and Goodrum, if Tyler Goodrum is fit, have to do a better job in midfield than what they did against Peterborough in the second leg. They need to try and win the ball back high by pressing Bolton. They can't just allow them to sit deep and allow Bolton to have the ball. This is a pretty obvious statement because it's what Oxford have been doing for a while now, and they'll try and win the ball back high, turn it over quickly and get their wingers running at the back line. It's where Oxford have looked at their most dangerous, but the midfield in general just need to be so much better in possession. Brannigan needs to be more accurate with his big switches of play where he tries to get Murphy and Dale attacking down the wings, but Rodriguez and Goodrum have to link up better with Harris, playing into Harris's feet to get Oxford up the pitch. I'd like to see Rodriguez and Goodrum taking more risks and dribbling with the ball. They're both good at running with the ball at their feet, and Oxford need to do this to try and exert some pressure on the Bolton backline. And the more they can do this, the more it will free space up for Josh Murphy, who is without a doubt Oxford's biggest attacking threat. The more times Oxford can get in Murphy into space, the better chance they will have in this game, and the more that it was likely he will hurt Bolton. Murphy himself can be quite wasteful with his end product, but eventually if you keep giving him the ball, he will make something happen. Oxford just simply cannot afford for this game to turn into attack versus defence for large periods, because at the end of the day they will lose if it goes down that route. But how the teams also try and build from the back is important as well. I can't see Oxford taking too many risks in this area. Usually what happens is they try and play lip service to it a little bit of playing out from the back, play 2 or 3 passes, realise they're going nowhere and ending up hitting it quite long. But Bolton will probably need to be quite careful here too. I know they like to give the ball to Sheehan and have him dictate play, but Harris is excellent at pressing, and him, Dale and Murphy can put those centre-backs and the goalkeeper under pressure. Santos in particular, for all his defensive attributes, can look quite suspect with the ball at his feet. Ultimately, all the talking about the game, all you really want to know is what I am going to predict, and you already know what I'm going to do. Look, Bolton are the better side. They've got a stronger squad than Oxford United as well, and regardless of which way I'm going to predict, I do think it's going to be a much closer game than that 5-0 we saw last time out. I'm sure there's a lot of Bolton fans that disagree with me, or even neutral fans that think Bolton are going to wipe the floor with Oxford, but I just don't see that happening. And you have to remember, I am extremely biased when it comes to this prediction. I am an Oxford fan, so ultimately my prediction is going to go in Oxford's favour. And I do have Oxford United nicking this playoff final. I have it ending Oxford United 2, Bolton Wanderers 1. So what that would mean, it would mean that Oxford would go up to the Championship and they'd have a reunion with ex-manager Liam Manning next season. I can already imagine what that is going to be like. As for myself, I get a chance to play against both Sheffield sides, which is pretty good, considering that is where I live. Bolton fans, do not despair. I've heard Mansfield is quite lovely. But also as well, remember, this is just my 2p's worth. It's just my prediction. Let me know your thoughts down below. Ultimately, it is for fun. I am buzzing for this game on Saturday. I can't wait for it. I'm going to go to Wembley. So if you do see me on Wembley Way or around the stadium, please, if you're a Bolton fan or an Oxford fan, please feel free to come up and say hello to me. I'd love to meet you. Let me know your thoughts down below. And good luck to everybody, especially the Yellows.